I'm out here in the garden. It is getting towards mid-August. Still have a little bit of sunflowers blooming over here. You can see the garden is just overrun with weeds, as typical this time of year. Just so much weed pressure out here. But also, I'm going to show you something else. Squash bugs. Squash bug eggs. That's what they are. That's what they look like. And if I can get close enough, I want to show you what the nymph stage looks like. See all those crawling right there? That's after the eggs have hatched. And this is in my raised bed, my metal raised bed. I think they're called Vigo garden beds. And it was a mini pumpkin. And as you can see, some of the plant is kind of yellowing, and that is most likely from the squash bugs all over it. I kind of knew better than to plant the mini pumpkins right here, but I couldn't resist because I knew it was going to trellis. But because this is my metal raised garden bed, I do not want to use any type of 7 or anything like that on these raised beds. So it looks like however many pumpkins that I get off of this, it has done pretty well, and they're really cute. I'm just going to let this vine continue to go without adding anything to it. I don't want any kind of pesticides in this soil. So I'm just going to let this vine run its course. Here's some more. They're just laying eggs all over it. Next year, I will not use this trellis for any kind of pumpkin climbing. I may do flowers next year. I may do like a morning glory maybe or something. I'm not sure yet. But I'm just going to let this vine run its course, produce what it's going to produce, and then pull this vine. I also have my basil in here. It did really good, other than Japanese beetles liked to eat on it. But I just kept trimming it. I came out and I did trim off all the flowers this morning. I would like to make myself a big pitcher of basil lemon tea, or lemon basil, however you say it. And I am definitely going to pull my rosemary and put it in a separate pot so that I can take it inside for the winter. It's done pretty good out here. But there's a big old squash bug right there. That's a full-grown one. Stupid things. They are the bane of my existence in the garden. This is glass gem corn. It is growing pretty good. I specifically put it in my raised bed because last year I bought bags of compost that did have the grays on in it. It killed most every nightshade plant that I had, killed my tomatoes, anything that I had potted up that I put that compost in. It did not do well, and I had put it in my raised beds over here. So I read that corn actually pulls that out of the ground, out of your soil. So I've used corn this year, and this is glass gem. It's ornamental, or you can pop it or ground it. It's not good for just, plain eating. I think some people do, and you can, but it's grown really good and hopefully cleared out some of this graze on or whatever it was in my soil. And next year I will be adding to it because you always need to top fill. Here's my comfrey plant. Something is eating on my comfrey leaves, and I cannot figure out what likes comfrey. I'm looking for eggs. I've come out here different times of the day trying to figure out what is nibbling on my comfrey, and I can't figure it out. So I'm probably going to repot this so it can get bigger. Here are my yellow tomatoes. They're doing pretty good. Here is the Blue Lake green beans. And as you can tell, I need to come out here and pick beans again. This will be the third time that I and family members and friends have picked off these beans, and we still have blooms. We still have little baby beans coming. So we've got all of this up through here to pick. Last weekend, I came out and I cleared out a spot right beside the ground cover and planted my beans for a second succession sowing right here. They've all popped up. They're looking great. So today, one of my jobs is going to be to come on the other side of the beans that have come up now that they are up, and get me another piece of this, put on this side, scoot it together as close as I can, and pin it. And this whole row will be weed free, just like over here on this side, which there's a couple of weeds popped up through here, but it's perfectly doable. I mean, they're not hardly in the way at all. And that way, towards the end of September, as long as we don't get a early freeze, I will have another big row of green beans to can. Here are my cucumbers. Here we are towards the midpoint of August, and you can tell that this is the Market More, and the vines are still doing okay here. I see quite a few cucumbers on it that I can pick. Over here was the Boston pickling, and they're done. They are done for the year, and I am perfectly fine with that because we have eaten so many cucumber salads and I have made so many pickles that I can't eat no more cucumber, I don't think. Wouldn't mind succession growing some of these, but this year with watching my little 2-year-old granddaughter, it's just so hard to get enough time to do as many things as I wanted to do. But there's a few hanging, but you can tell they've gotten a little yellowed from the sun, which will make them bitter. So I don't even know if I want to pick these. These will probably go to the chickens. This is a volunteer pepper plant. I'm not sure which one it's going to be. It'll be a surprise this year. Last year we had sweet green bell pepper plants planted out here along with jalapenos. So I'm not sure which one this is going to be, but we have lots of blooms on this one. So today, it being Sunday, hopefully we get to stay home all day, don't have to run any errands. I have to come down here and check on the pumpkins. I may have to put some neem oil on the pumpkin patch. I know there's squash bugs down there. We don't want to lose our pumpkins. We do sell those at a festival. I've worked a little bit in my raised beds today. We're going to mow as much as we can. It looks like we need to mow the garden, doesn't it? Well, it produced. It certainly produced for us this year. So I'm happy with that. So please keep in mind, if you're doing a big garden and you do not have a whole lot of help, you can't afford the large tillers, you just have the hand tools like the hand hose and stuff that I have. Don't beat yourself up when it gets to the point at the end of the season. You're closing in on the end of that season and your garden is starting to look like this. Don't beat yourself up. I still get produce. I am still able to can. So you just keep on going with your gardening and you keep canning and picking and eating fresh food. And I'll see you next time on Jonestead Farm.